One sunny July day, a photographer's studio in Gosport on the south coast of England receives some curious visitors. The studio is that of the specialist marine photographer G. West & Sons. The visitors are a novel sight in silken robes and long black pigtails. The year is 1877, and these young men are from the first batch of graduates from China's Foochow Naval Academy, sent abroad to study in Britain. By 1873, Frenchman Prosper Marie Giquel had been working for the Fujian Office of Naval Affairs for nearly 7 years. As technical director of the Navy Yard, he was actively involved in the management of the Naval Academy, as well as the shipbuilding in the Naval Dockyard. As his term as director drew to a close, he proposed to his superiors that the best graduates of the academy should be sent to Europe for further study. I feel obliged to consider, in the best interest of China, to offer these students opportunities to further their studies and to achieve fruitful results. He wrote, "If we allow these precious seeds to scatter about instead of being collected and sown properly, we are basically throwing away what we have been painstakingly working towards for the past 7 years." Chen Baojian, still the Minister of Naval Administration in Foochow, responded positively and recommended it to the Imperial Court.
沈葆桢当时在奏折里说了这么一句很晦涩的话，就是“窥其精微之奥，以至于庄阅之间”。
这个庄阅之间呢，是指什么？指齐国。这是孟子的话，他意思呢，就是说你要学习齐国话，就要到齐国去。
China had previously sent students to study in the West. Between 1872 and 1875, the Qing government had sent a total of 120 students, 12 years of age on average, to the United States of America. At such an early age, these young students soon became transformed by the American education. They cut off their queues and quit wearing their Manchu costumes and began to adopt American values. This caused a huge alarm. He had been dispatched in the wake of the First Opium War to make amends on behalf of the Qing government with this dangerous maritime power.
当时谁都不愿意这个出外，不像今天我们要做外交官很好的事情啊。当时这些中国的官员，一个也不了解外情啊，第二个也害怕出洋，所以包括郭松浩师在内，他当时也不愿意出去，他也几次拒绝这个任命，甚至推脱说我自己年老了、多病了这个。后来慈禧太后召见他啊，特别说你呀，还是为国家。这个辛苦一次吧，他觉得不好意思再拒绝了啊。太后亲自来动员他了，所以这样的情况下他才出去。
Korsung Tao was able to read and write in English. Between February and September, he negotiated the students' placements on British warships and helped decide who would receive what placement. Thus, students like Lu Bu-chan, Lin Tai-zeng, and Jiang Chaoying, 3 cadets who were already serving officers in China, were given placements. The rest were first to be sent to the famous Royal Navy College in Greenwich, southeast London. The school had only been established in 1873 to train naval officers destined for the higher ranks.
Every admiral and every senior officer in the Royal Navy trained here. It would have been an essential part of their career development. But also we had very many distinguished foreign students. And of course the first Chinese student came here in 1877, only 4 years after the Royal Naval College here had opened.
It was agreed the students should gain entry to the Royal Naval College on condition that they pass the college entrance exam.
中国这次提出来的是一个非常完整的一个计划，其实可以说不光是一个留学计划，可以说是中国跟英国2国之间的一个海军教育的合作计划。因为在这个之前，英国格林威治学校就是傲慢的不收这种外国学生的。日本的东乡平八郎去格林威治去学校去学的时候，就是被吃了闭门羹，被轰出来了嘛。就是我们不收你们这些东亚人。最后东乡平八郎没有办法去商船学校去，就是过了把瘾，他也没进得去英国的海军学校。这是破天荒的，就是我们居然真正的到当时世界最好的海军的最好的学府里面去见识一番了。
The Royal Naval College is now the Greenwich Maritime Institute. In 2012, Lao Yifan from Fujian Province joined its doctoral program.
我从我的那个宿舍走过来，到这个第一次到这个校区里边来的时候呢，就是有一种强烈的感受。哦，原来我们的前辈沙珍边、严复、林永生他们的六个人，第一批1877年过来的时候，就是从这个校门口走进来，就是从这一条小道走到他们的课室，走到他们的实验室。
In October 1877, 6 Chinese naval students were admitted to the Greenwich Royal Naval College after passing the entrance examination. Among them were Yan Fu, Ye Zugui, Sa Jianbing, and Feng Bo-Qian. All would become influential figures in Chinese history. Kor Sung Tao's diary records that there were 4 departments in the college at the time: mathematics, weaponry, mechanics, and physics. The building is celebrated as a masterpiece of Baroque architecture, while in the museum, models display the development of warships down the ages. The painted hall had been called Europe's most beautiful cafeteria. As more Chinese tourists come to visit and explore, more has been discovered about the history of the Chinese who studied here.
在英国海军部给我们清政府的那个照会里边呢，有提到这么一个条件，就是说中国的海军军官呢要到格林尼治来求学可以，但是呢前提条件你只能以个人的身份来申请入学。他们当时呢不能住在校区里边，不能跟那些英国皇家海军的军官在这个正式的餐厅一起用餐，然后他们上的课呢也不能上那种完整的这个海军理论的课程，而只能上一些速成的这个课程。
Although they were not treated as equal to the British students, the Chinese naval students had made a start living in this strange land. Their desire for knowledge and their ambition to serve the country motivated them to study hard. Admiral Sa Jianbing later recalled, "I've never seen a society more novel than this. In those days, the government sent only very few students to study abroad, even less to military schools. I paid attention to learning in all disciplines. In my spare time, I observed the local people, trying to understand their psychology and customs, which could be used as a reference when I analyzed the Chinese critically and serve my own country in the future." Yan Fu also recorded his observations of European society. He often went to law courts to see the whole judicial process. He would share his thoughts with Foochow. Great Britain and the other European countries have become wealthy and powerful, mainly because justice is maintained here. Undoubtedly, their observations of another culture caused them to reflect upon the shortcomings of their own. But the Chinese were not the only Asians anxious to learn the secrets of success. If the Chinese students stood out on account of conservative traditional dress and legally prescribed Manchu pigtails, the Japanese made notable attempts to integrate, adopting European dress and hairstyles. It was perhaps the expression of a more urgent desire to westernize. In February 1877, Foochow wrote to Minister Li Hongzheng, "More than 200 Japanese are studying science and technology here in Britain. They are scattered in various ports, and there are 90 of them in London. I met 20 of them, and they were all able to speak English."
So here is where the majority of books for the maritime and the naval subject are. And specifically, we have 3 books that may be of your interest. We have biography of the Admiral Togo, very rare book, and there are other 2 books that treat the Imperial Japanese Navy. This one.
Japan had started to study European naval technologies at the end of the Shogunate period. After the Meiji Restoration, the process accelerated. In 1870, the Japanese government funded 12 naval students to study in Britain, including the man who would one day be called the Nelson of the East, the future Admiral Togo Heihachiro. At the same time, Japanese engineers traveled to France to study shipbuilding. In fact, within the first 8 years of the Meiji period, Japan had sent a total of 550 students to study in Europe and America. On February 2nd, 1878, 6 Chinese students went to the Chinese embassy in London to celebrate the Chinese New Year. Among them, Yan Fu impressed ministerial envoy Foochow most of all.
给郭松涛留下印象最深的还是严复说的那么一段话，他说呢，说这个西洋人这个筋骨结强，华人不能。那么论证这个呢，他讲的故事，就是有一天呢，教习带着他们上野外这个筑垒的课程啊，每人呢要求是在1点钟的时间里边完成一个单人掩体的这样一个工程量，唯独中国的学生呢，这个没有完成，但是呢已经是累得这个筋疲力尽。
他的结论呢，就是中国人的体力不行，实际上呢，估计也不完全是体力不行。 是吧？我们中国的在教育的过程中呢，肯定还有一些这个不如西方的地方，比如注重体质的锻炼，对吧？我们学习可能就是注重学习，而西方呢就把这种身体的这种锻炼、体质的锻炼，作为一种基本的训练。
Foochow appreciated Yan Fu's insightful observation and analysis. His diary in 1875 records how he met regularly with Yan Fu. The 8th day of the 3rd month in the 4th year of Emperor Guangxu's reign. Today, Yan Fu pointed out the importance of abolishing prohibitions, changing people's attitudes, and the development of expertise. In Yan's opinion, the success of the Western nations rested on these things and cannot be ignored.
郭松涛日记里边就讲得很明白，就是严复那个时候还是个留学生的时候，郭松涛就很佩服严复，讲严复观察太细了。
严复本来派去就是学一个驾驶轮船的，所以用今天话说就是开船的。而你看严复在那里恰恰不满足于这些，他拼命的他想找这个当时中国比西方落后很多，他想找这个原因在哪里。像郭松涛出使西方。 他也是在那里寻求，为什么西方比中国要强那么多？当时，因为他不会外语，但还是想办法去了解各种各样西方的各种其他制度啊、典籍方面的事情。而严复外语很好，而严复也是在留学生中当时少有的一个除了对航海、对自己专业感兴趣以外，其他一个要探究西方富强的秘密在哪里的这种人。所以这两个人。 可以说，在英国一拍即合。
Despite their 36-year age difference, Foochow and Yan Fu became close because of their shared ambition to reform China. Their observations convinced them that advances in science and technology was not the only reason that European countries prospered. According to the regulations of the time, students of the Naval College at Greenwich had to complete their training with a posting on board ship. In the summer of 1878, Sa Jianbing and his fellow students took up their year-long deployments to British ships. However, Yan Fu was not among them. Foochow wrote to the British Foreign Secretary asking permission for Yan Fu to study at Greenwich for another year. He explained that Yan Fu was a young man who had the potential to shape the future of China, and for him simply to train as a naval officer would be a waste of his abilities. Meanwhile, the marine engineering students were busy studying in France.
这是个学生啊，但那时候啊，在外地，在法国，可是他不在巴黎啊，他还没收到他的奖学金呢，所以他给高迪写信说他没收到他的钱呢，需要他的钱呢。这是
哪个学生
？1877年呢，11月份呢写的。
Madame Bastide was a researcher at the French Academy of Sciences.
所以陈吉仲啊，给高
In the early 1980s, she studied the Foochow Naval Administration, aka the Foochow Arsenal.
派学生到法国来。
During her study of Henri Cordier, a French scholar of Chinese studies who helped Prosper Giquel to manage the affairs of the Chinese students in France, she found a trove of their correspondence in which the students discussed their lives and their experiences. Alongside this was a collection of their calling cards.
清代的时候，一般的中国人不用名片呢，他们去拜访啊，送这样的东西啊，所以是他们的传统的习惯呢，是这样做。
The 18 graduates from the engineering department of the Foochow Academy were given opportunities to study at the best schools in various parts of France. As they completed their studies, Giquel sent them to arsenals or shipyards in various parts of Europe to learn about the latest advances in practice.
They were sent to arsenals, to factories, for training on the ground to see how in big modern factories the work is organized, the work is going on, and they had to work with the workers. They had to do things themselves. And they changed from one place to another, 6 months in one place, 6 months in another. So what they got in their practical training in France was not only for shipbuilding, it was for all kinds of other industrial
travaillait à l'Arsenal.
A few hours from Paris, Prosper Marie Giquel's descendants still treasure his personal belongings, letters and photos.
Alors là, c'est un album avec en grande partie les étudiants chinois. Donc vous voyez, il y a beaucoup de photos de tous les ingénieurs et étudiants qui se sont formés en France et qui ensuite ont fait tourner l'Arsenal. Et dans les papiers que nous avons ici, il y a énormément de photos d'étudiants chinois qui envoyaient leurs photos à Prosper Giquel avec un petit mot très touchant, comme s'il s'adressait un peu à un oncle, peut-être pas un père, mais en tout cas un oncle. Donc manifestement, il suivait de très près tous ces étudiants chinois qui étaient quand même très loin de leur pays et loin de leur culture d'origine, et il les accompagnait beaucoup. Donc je crois que c'était une partie très importante de sa vie et qu'il a beaucoup apprécié ses relations avec ses étudiants chinois.
Dear Monsieur Giquel, attached is a photo of mine. If you would kindly send me a photo of yours in return, I would be most delighted. Sincerely yours, Wei Han. Giquel first arrived in China in 1857 as part of the Anglo-French forces during the Second Opium War. However, he stayed on, learned Chinese, and joined the customs service. As he became friends with the Chinese, he became involved in China's modernization movement. From 1867 to 1886, Giquel worked in some form or another for the Foochow Naval Administration. At the time of his death, he was still acting as supervisor for the Chinese students in Europe. His life's work is collected in these albums.
Avec ses affaires personnelles, vous pouvez voir ici dans cette boîte son chapeau, qui est ici, et à côté vous pouvez voir.
As a reward for service, the Qing court granted Giquel the title of provincial military commander with a golden uniform and hat decorated with a ruby and peacock plumes. This was the highest recognition at the time.
Les bateaux qui a été construit à Foochow, le Wan Yanxi.
The relics of Giquel's time in China are evidence of the extraordinarily close relationship he developed with the country and its people. He wore a beautiful purple robe and spoke with a low voice with a perfect accent. It was a humorous speech, very French, yet very Chinese. The audience were overwhelmed and applauded like crazy. So wrote French writer Romain Rolland in his diary for the 18th of February, 1889. The speaker was Chen Jitong, late of the Foochow Naval Academy. Chen Jitong was the first Chinese author to write in French. The National Library of France had a collection of his French works. As a student of the Foochow Naval Academy, he exhibited a great aptitude for French, which was why Giquel offered him the copywriter's job and arranged for him to study in the Sciences Po, to study public law and regulation. The Sciences Po, aka the Institute of Political Sciences of Paris, was established in 1872. Its graduates have formed the core of the French political and administrative elite ever since. Chen Jitong was admitted to the school in 1878. That summer, when Foochow and another 12 Chinese students traveled from England to France to attend the Third World Expo, Chen Jitong acted as their guide. Chen was humorous, enthusiastic, and eloquent. He deeply impressed Foochow. Before long, as minister to both France and Britain, recommended Chen Jitong work for the Chinese mission to France. But while Foochow was seeking men capable of bringing reform to China, he was making enemies back home. The hardline conservatives in the court wanted to thwart him. Even worse, his erstwhile assistant, Lu Shihong, denounced him, listing 10 of his wrongdoings, including such crimes as wearing foreign clothes and listening to foreign musical concerts. In 1879, Kor resigned on the grounds of supposed ill health.
非常可笑的，很荒唐的啊！一件事就是说，这个郭松涛到英国去参观英国人的一个炮台。 啊，英国的军官陪他去看，啊，看的时候，当时炮台上有风，啊，刮风，这个英国军官呢就把自己的大衣啊脱下来披在那个口传涛身上，啊，怕他冻着，啊，就这件事回来以后，这个刘锡涛就说是一大罪状，啊，堂堂中国的公使啊，怎么能够穿洋人的衣服啊？他说这个宁可冻死也不能配洋人的衣服啊，啊，这个简直是有失国体啊。
Even as Kor Sung Tao returned to China to face the charges, he managed to put Chen Jitong in position in the Chinese mission. Chen would become one of China's most celebrated diplomats, well-versed in both Chinese and French culture.
Chen Jitong was a nice-looking man. He was good-looking, tall, and nice-looking. And French ladies thought he was charming because he could joke, he could talk, he said nice things. He knew how to be polite. He had learned that. And at that time he was invited in French salons and at French homes by all the Paris high society. In Paris, even now, people of the high society, when they give reception, they invite the diplomats of other foreign countries. And if on the list there is one who can talk French, who is good looking and nice, of course he's invited.
The English-language North China Express in Shanghai carried an article in French noting, "Much has been written about Chen Jitong in the last 6 months. He has established himself very rapidly in Europe, thanks to his intelligence, his charm, his ability to quickly assimilate Western customs, and his mastery of several languages." In the fall of 1879, Yan Fu was ready to begin his posting aboard the wooden screw frigate HMS Newcastle. Instead, he received an order to cancel his placement and return to Fujian. A month later, Yan Fu was on his way back to the Naval Academy, while his classmates, Sa Jianbing, Ye Zugui, and others stayed in Britain to complete their training. Lu Buchan and Lin Taizeng, already serving officers before arriving in Britain, had spent most of their entire 2 years on British warships. They served with the Royal Navy's Mediterranean Fleet, on ships deployed all the way from the Americas to the Indian Ocean. In 1880, these first foreign-trained officers returned to China. For Liang Bin Nian, a student based in France, it was a journey he would never make. He fell ill in the summer of 1879, and after several months passed away at Toulon in the winter of that year. Aside from Liang, Wu Dezheng and young Lian Chen also studied in Toulon and went on to become highly qualified ship designers. Wei Han studied in northern France at Cherbourg. He was later recognized as the Chinese Navy's most important shipbuilder. He won public praise in the newspapers in Cherbourg for his achievements in engineering. Aside from shipbuilding, Wei Han also studied law and became the first Chinese person to receive a doctoral degree in European law. Instead of returning to China, Chen Jitong stayed in Europe as a diplomat. With his knowledge of languages, he would serve as a consul or counselor in France, Germany, and Italy. He made strenuous efforts to correct the ignorance and prejudice towards China that prevailed in Europe at the time. I found China was the most misunderstood country in the world. He wrote, it was not because the Chinese were neglected, but because the Chinese were seen in the same way as animals in the zoo. In Paris in 1884, Chen Jitong published The Chinese Painted by Themselves. The book became a huge hit.
陈金童他是最早一批到欧洲学习或工作的中国人，那么他深切感受到了这种西方人对中国的偏见和歧视。他又是一个非常想有作为的外交官，那么他在巴黎呢，他很想去为中国为国家去做一些那个有益的事情，做一些积极的宣传，所以他很多的写作都是抱着一个矫正西方人的偏见，之后描绘一个美好的中国的这样的一个充满茶香的一个鸟语花香的这样的一个中国的这样的一个责任去工作的。
He played a great role in getting the high society in Paris accustomed to China, to like China, to like Chinese things. At that time, it was fashionable to buy Chinese curios, to write Chinese poetry, to read Chinese poetry. At that time, he had certainly an influence.
Following the Chinese painted by themselves, Chen Jitong wrote Drama of the Chinese, The Happiness of the Chinese, and My Country. In these books, he introduced Chinese poetry, prose, drama, music, ancestor worship, and the pursuit of unity and harmony to the West. He even translated Pu Songling's famous collection of 17th century supernatural tales, strange stories from a Chinese studio. Chen Jitong believed that taken together, these writings illustrated how the Chinese understood life. In the wake of the Japanese incursion into Taiwan, Chen Baojian had been appointed viceroy of the whole region of the eastern Yangtze. It was while still serving in this post in December 1878 he died. The role of viceroy took him away from Fujian, and his death that year deprived him of seeing the return of his Naval Academy graduates who had trained overseas. But for all that, he is remembered as the founding father of China's modern Navy and a key figure in China's overall modernization.
清政府前后派出到英法德各国学习的这些学生里面将近100人，但从福州船政学堂里面走出去的就有78人，占了80%。所以这几批人从国外学成回来以后，他们充实到了北洋的海军、南洋的海军，包括这个中国晚清的这种各个要害的这个部门，他们为中国的近代化做出了很多的努力。就是学海军的回来以后，一个个的成长为很快成长为舰长，学造船的回来以后，立刻自己开始设计船、建造军舰。但他们的成就其实不仅于此，不仅仅局限于他们所学的专业本身，他们其实是中国派到西方去，他接触了西方社会，跟近代化接触了，思想上也近代化了，这是一个最了不起的地方。
Over the next 40 years, another 111 Naval Academy graduates would be sent to study in Europe. Many studied in more than one country. Their studies were no longer limited to naval affairs, but included political science and economics, as well as social and cultural studies. One British commentator said of this overseas study program, "With a feat already accomplished, we will not be long in seeing the results. Having seen with their own eyes such a vastly different way of things, these young men will return home with such a breadth of vision and the knowledge of how to achieve it that they cannot help but revolutionize their country." In May 1874, Japan planned to occupy Taiwan. The graduates of the Foochow Naval Academy worked in support of Taiwan and began the modernization of Taiwan. They exemplified the potential energy and genius of a country.